Hi everyone, it's William. This is the 1907 Grand Duke Dmitri Diary series, and today we're doing the second part of the entry for 6th October 1907, which was a Saturday, and Dmitri is writing this in Moscow, and I thought today I would start out with some photographs from this fantastic book. I show it to you just as a reminder. I've shown it before. It's not in print anymore, but if you can possibly get a copy at whatever price, it's well worth it. It's on, let's see, Grand Duke Paul, his family and descendants with an, let's see, you've got Avant-propos, written by the late Count Leonard Bernadotte, and an introduction by the late Prince Michael Fyodorovich Romanov. And all right, let's see, what do we have in the back? This nice little thing, I don't know what it is. Unfortunately, the author Jacques Ferrand, a very nice man, a French historian, is also deceased. So this was published, as you can see, in 1993. And the timing was good. Jacques Ferrand told me once that it took him quite a while, literally years, to sort of gain the trust of the Tsarist emigre community in Paris. You know, some of the people at that time that were still living, some of the people who had themselves left Russia, and when he was compiling this, and also first generation emigres, and with that trust, which they quite rightly put in him, he was able to assemble a collection of fantastic photographs. So today we have photographs of Dmitri's mother. I haven't shown any photos of her before. Here she is in her court dress, and here she is with Paul. Whoops, my computer is... And I have always felt like both children, both Dmitri and Maria, really favored their mother. You can see Paul in both of them as well, but they really look like their mother, and to me, and like their grandmother. So they really look to me like true descendants of the smart branch of the imperial family, which was the Konstantinovich, if you'll excuse me for rather forcefully expressing my own opinion. All right, so here is Grand Duchess Alexandra, looking quite a bit older than her 21 years there, actually, with her little girl. Very sweet photo, because of course she would soon die and her little girl Maria would never get to know her. And here's a picture after poor Alexandra's death, with Grand Duke Sergei. Aunt Ella is standing and holding Maria, and Grand Duke Paul is sitting and holding Dmitri. And I was just thinking today that I'd seen so few photographs. I was wondering if I'd actually seen any of Ella with the children. Well, all I had to do was look in this book, which was right in front of me, but of course they're infants, and they weren't in the custody of Sergei and Ella anymore. I would love to see one of Dmitri and Maria with Ella, you know, in her nun habit, which she wore at that time. That would be very interesting. And to sort of look at the body language in a photo like that. But anyway, I am thinking about Ella for the obvious reason that we have today part 2. Yesterday, in this diary entry of the first part of this diary entry of the 6th, Dmitri had clashed with Ella over whether he would be wearing his parade uniform, his horse guard's parade uniform, to go meet his future brother-in-law at the station. And Ella didn't want him to, but he did anyway. And, you know, I guess that was all right. It probably irritated her. So now we have part 2 of that unfortunate situation. You remember the furniture that he had went on the 5th gone with the Lamings and Miss June to a furniture store in Moscow and picked out new furniture and was really happy about it. And so today we return to that topic with the delivery of the furniture. All right, let's dive in. My new furniture was delivered this morning. It's fantastic. That's why Chotya got angry, because I didn't tell her about it. But I didn't say anything on purpose because there's not much love there. And I don't want to share my joys with her. And she got very angry and accused me of wanting to keep the whole thing secret, etc. Yes, it's very difficult for me with her right now. And to tell the truth, I don't love her. After tea, I just sat around until dinner, which was, as always, at 8 o'clock, and afterwards I played a new game called Diabolo. It's a lot of fun, but difficult. Tomorrow I have to go to the meeting of the Palestine Society in the morning, and that will be pretty boring. 11:15 p.m. All right, this is really quite unfortunate. So Dmitri had his own money, clearly, or at least, an allowance or something that allowed him to buy this furniture. And it was his, and apparently that was fine as far as it went. But Ella was upset that he hadn't told her about it. And maybe he didn't tell her about it because he was afraid she would say no. But the reason he's telling us is an interesting one. He's saying because there wasn't much love between the two of them, and he didn't want to share my joys with her. So he's really not happy with her at the moment. He doesn't even want to contaminate his happiness by letting her in on it. All right, so she got very angry and accused me of wanting to keep the whole thing secret, etc. So, it would have been hard to keep it secret, I guess, since it had to be delivered to the palace, and since, one would think that at least once in a while she stepped into his rooms, although maybe not. And then he tells us just how difficult it is with her right now. And if you recall, a few diary entries ago when they were still in Crimea, and Dmitri was lamenting the fact that his sister would still soon be leaving and going to live in her husband's home country, Sweden, that he was afraid of what effect that would have on his relationship with Ella, because Maria apparently was kind of a mediator between the two of them at this stage. I think the love would return, and I think Dmitri would be quite, would have quite a lot of affection toward Ella later in his life. Well, I don't know. I shouldn't say that. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but it seems like it, kind of, in the later diaries. But anyway, right now, Sis seems to be the one. Maria seems to be the one who's affectionate with Ella and able to keep the peace. Oddly enough, since she writes so bitterly about Ella in her memoirs later on. So, Dmitri has changed so much since we first met him in 1914. He was this mischievous, lively little guy. You remember the squirt gun and the jumping out from behind the door, and how he would tell us that he was naughty at dance class, and the laughing fits, and all of that stuff, which was great fun. I miss that little guy. But yeah, now that he's 16, it seems like really most of that stuff has gone by the wayside, although he would be known as an adult for continuing to have a sort of jolly sense of humor and liking to play the clown. But right now he's pretty subdued. And also in the Crimea, not just now with Ella's presence, but very different, liking things like sitting down and talking with adults. But here we have a little bit of a reversion to our 14-year-old, because of this declaration of his, I don't love her. And, you know, it's a little bit like little kids, you know, you hear them saying to their parents, I hate you, if they get in a fight, or I don't like you anymore. And, you know, this strikes me as a bit like that. But, you know, in his diary, he says things that he can't say elsewhere. And so, you know, maybe that's not true. Maybe it's not, you know, sort of this blurting out something like little kids do. You got angry at me and criticized me, so now I don't love you. No, I mean, really, it sounds like something that's been going on for a while. So, okay. The game I tried to find, there's a video game by the name of Diablo, and there is a board game version of the video game, so I didn't have much luck. But I did find at least one version of this thing where you hold a stick in each hand, and there's a string that goes between the two sticks, and then you try to balance something, an odd-shaped thing between the two. You have to keep moving it slightly. Well, you know what I mean. And that apparently also can be called a Diablo. So I'm rather inclined to believe that that is what Dmitri is talking about. He got one of those from somewhere. I suppose it could even be the case that Wilhelm brought it for him. But he likes it. It's difficult. You know, I've never tried one of those. I imagine it is difficult. Every time you see somebody doing it, they make it look really easy. And okay, in the previous diary entry, when the Metropolitan of Moscow had invited them to attend a meeting of the Orthodox Palestine Society, which was dear to the heart of Grand Duke Sergei and of which he was the patron, Dmitri seemed happy with it. But now he's saying, well, it's going to be boring. You know, he's just not in a good mood today, and that's understandable. So I will leave it at that, and we'll have some fun diary entries coming up. In this diary entry, the day of Wilhelm's arrival, Dmitri is just not spending any time with him, aside from having met him at the station. It's a school day, and maybe Wilhelm and Maria are importantly getting to know each other, and they don't want little brother hanging around. So, but in upcoming diary entries, we will get a lot of Wilhelm, or Wilgashka, as Dmitri calls him. So definitely come back for those, and I'll see you then.